Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly demo a game called Tectonic Shift. The developer, whose name is Joe, his last name, I don't want to offend him by mispronouncing it, because it's anyway, Joe from Dabeco Games sat down with me for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, going over two of his games on Tabletop Simulator. This particular video is going to focus on Tectonic Shift. If I scroll down here on the website, it says Tectonic Shift is a two-player, multi-deck building game where players use 3 decks, build, combat, and support to ultimately deplete opponent health. Each deck has a unique purpose. The build deck allows players to purchase or build cards from the city. The combat deck deals damage to an opponent and repairs your health. The support deck increases energy, which is required to play most cards. Players will move between each of their decks to build a strong deck with vital resources and fight their opponents. And the game includes 146 cards, 12 tokens, 1 rulebook, combined 2 copies of the game for 3 to 4 players. More information coming soon. And on their website, you can even see they've got a Facebook page. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right, Dabeco Games. They are the same designers who released Havenfall, which I have covered on my channel before, and that will be bonus content in a separate video. But for right now, feel free to just sit back, watch, and enjoy the demo of Tectonic Shift hosted by Joe.
And then were you two looking at playing? I had no idea what your intentions were.
That's
if
okay.
You were just doing like an overview.
It'd be like a demo. I mean, if that's all right with you, like
Sure.
Playing a game. How long does the game, I guess I should ask, typically take?
This one's probably 45. Duality is more 30.
Okay, so we're looking at Tectonic Shift first, and I'm looking at the manual here. It says 2 players, ages 13 and up, average play time 20 to 30 minutes per player, but you can play 3 to 4 players with a second copy, which is cool.
Yep.
Oh, this one's Tectonic Shift?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
have you played this one?
I've never played this one.
Okay.
I was looking at it, though.
This is the one where like I'm right near the end, is like I'm just cleaning up the rule book and designing the box, and it's ready to go.
That is
That's
awesome.
where I'm at now.
Multi-deck
Cool.
builder. So it's similar to, say, Star Realms and Hero Realms and other deck builders, or is it different in the sense that, like, it looks like you said a multi-deck builder? You're going to be having more than one pile of cards that you have to add cards to?
That's exactly. It is like you can think of Hero Realms and Star Realms and the fact that you build up a deck and you attack the other player.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is, instead of 1 deck, you're building 3, and each one has a different purpose and function.
Oh, that sounds cool. And it looks like there are
Yeah.
trackers for each, too, which is neat.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have your buying deck, your health deck, and your support energy deck.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep. And as you buy cards, you can kind of decide what deck do I want to focus on.
Mhm.
So if you think of like those Star Realm games, you know how like, well, I'm just going to keep buying green cards because I bought green cards.
Right.
And you're kind of stuck in a play style. This one is, you just kind of evolve your play style to what benefits the deck you want to focus on. That you don't have to put everything into support. It's just your support deck will be great, but the other 2 won't be that useful.
That is awesome. Not to derail too much, but have you thought about, is there like a co-op versus the AI mode, or is it strictly a 1v1 for right now?
You can either do 1v1 free-for-all or 2v2.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. So, okay, gotcha. All right.
And then I also didn't know if you've been recording or what your plans were. I didn't know if you started.
Yeah, I started 10 minutes ago, but we can always edit stuff out if you don't like what we talked about. So
yeah, you could probably literally just start whatever we were in Tectonic Shift, because the other stuff was just me rambling.
Fluffing. Yeah, that's fine. No worries. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, no, don't worry. I won't embarrass you by putting that in.
Even if you did, I wouldn't care.
Okay.
It was just I don't think I was really bringing up anything interesting. I was just dealing with Kickstarter and where we've gone since.
Well, no, that's actually, in my opinion, that's actually important content, because like a lot of players or a lot of customers don't see the developer side of things. So you sort of explaining how you've been doing things and why you've been doing it. It's kind of an interesting insight, I think, but that's just
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
as a listener,
I'll let you decide. Decide.
Okay.
So, all right. So this is Tectonic Shift, and you said it was a multi-deck builder of sorts. Lots of different decks that you have to worry about and trackers. Okay, so yeah, if you can like demo the game or just sort of overview it
I
and
can do the very quick explanation of what you do in the game and then kind of what turns look like as you play.
Absolutely, that would be awesome.
So yeah, we don't need these. These are just simply if you do the 3 to 4 player. This is just who you're going to be targeting.
Oh, I see.
Ah.
Okay.
And you can't change these on the fly. Is you can change anybody's targeter once per turn.
Oh, okay.
But the
cool.
catch is you have to spend your energy on doing that instead of using your cards. But in a 2-player game, obviously you're just going to hit each other, so it's not needed.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the very short story of this is, so if you remember, if Havenfall was designed to look like an 8-bit
Yes.
8-bit deck builder,
Mhm.
all themed in like the 80s. This one's themed in the 90s.
Okay.
So all of the card art is kind of like Ren and Stimpy era, like cell drawings.
Uh-huh.
So even within this deck here, if I shuffle it and reveal stuff, you're gonna have like Shocktopus,
Mhm.
EMP, Tool
Ah.
Belt, and there's a engine for your sub. There's a radioactive.
That's cool.
Wow.
So it's the very short story of this game is it's set in the future year 1996. So we haven't got there yet.
The future. Yes.
Yeah. Imagine the future of 96. And we have underwater cities, and like picture the big old dome under the city kind of thing.
Mhm.
And one of the tectonic plates shifted, destroying the city. So there's all this debris and resources floating everywhere. Each player is a different submarine going out to claim all that debris is their own. And think of a submarine with the wacky arms, like a cartoon, where it has like, the white gloves with the goofy tentacle arm.
So kind of fantasy steampunk kind of thing, I guess. I don't
know. Just as like stupid as you want to imagine it. But yeah, everybody got out there and happened to get there at the same time.
Okay.
So everybody's first thought was, well, I'm just going to grab sea creatures, grab the garbage, slam it together, and throw it at each other.
Okay, that's
why. Yep, somebody grabbed an octopus, put a bunch of tools in their hands, and threw it at somebody.
Hey, I've seen worse.
Sweet.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
This is giving me Rocco's Modern Life vibes, and I love it.
I looked at a lot of like Rocco, Ren and Stimpy, and Cow and Chicken, and all the just like how stupid can I get with stuff, and how bad of puns can I work on?
Well, look at Munchkin. It evolved because of its craziness. So this is completely legal and fine, in my opinion. So.
So into explaining how the game works is, so each player has 3 different decks.
Okay.
Is your build deck here is you'll see the name of it underneath each deck.
Okay.
That's your buying deck. Instead you just refer to as, instead of I'm buying this, I'm building this. So I'm going to build this tool belt.
Okay.
So that one you go into if you want to purchase anything.
Okay.
Your combat deck is how you deal damage to other players or repair your own submarine.
Okay.
As this is your health bar, where this is your parts, as parts is your
currency,
quote money. Yep, currency.
Okay.
And then support is your utility deck, and you'll gain energy in this, as both of these decks cost energy to use.
I see.
Oh.
Each deck is a very simple setup. So if I flip them over, each deck has a system card, and that kind of is the purpose of the deck in its like main utility card.
Okay.
From there you have ejection seats, and that's how you remove cards in the game.
Okay. That's
so
cool.
Every deck starts with 1, and if you want to get rid of cards, you can.
Okay.
And then from there, each deck just has a generic card, and there's 6 of them. So 6 Build-A-Bots, 6 Blowfish, 6 batteries.
Gotcha.
And the way it'll work, so you pick one deck that you want to play through. So what'll happen is they get shuffled, and first player, let's just pretend it's your first, so you would start with 2 energy, and Adelaide would start with 3, and you'll choose a deck to play in. So let's say you choose Build. Is you move it down to your play area, and you have to play the entire thing before you can return it.
I was wondering, like, if you had to draw from just one deck, or if you could combine 3 cards from this deck and 2 from that deck. But it looks like
in some ways you can.
Oh, interesting.
But that requires you getting cards that allow movement.
I see.
And rotations. Yep.
Cool.
So in this one, you then simply draw a hand till you have 5 or run out.
Okay.
So let's say these are your 5, and I'll lay these out for you.
Okay.
You can see there's a little orange bar on the left of all these cards. That's energy to play that section of a card.
Okay. And
so you can see you only start with 2.
Okay, gotcha.
And all of these cards cost energy. So if you wanted, you'd be like, well, let's go ahead and spend 2 to play these 2 Build-A-Bots.
Okay.
And they're both going to give 2 parts. So you're going to have 4 to spend.
I see.
And with that, the top left of every card is the cost to build them. The top right is the deck it can go into.
Oh, cool. So you can actually choose some cards you can put in either deck, which is cool, or either of the 3 decks.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So the radioactive can only go into build or combat, where the engine has to go into support.
Interesting.
So on and so forth.
Do their rules change based on where you put them?
Yes,
Okay.
some cards do. So if you look at the Shocktopus
Okay.
over here, you can see if it's in build, it gives you 5 parts. If it's in combat, 2 energy for 4 damage,
I see.
and support 4 energy.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So yeah, some cards, whereas you can see with the rat over here, the radioactive, it can go into build or combat, but it does the same function because there's no symbol off to the side.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So let's say with the 4, you want to go ahead and buy the Shocktopus.
Okay.
So you can then choose what deck you want to add it to.
Okay.
If you're adding it to the current deck you're in, which would be build, treat it just like a deck builder, you discard it.
Okay.
If you're adding it to a deck you're not in, it goes to the top.
Ah.
So let's say you want to add it to support.
Okay.
That would spend all your parts, and as soon as a card is slotted, a new card comes out.
Okay.
And you can buy as much as you want per turn. It's just as long as you can afford it, but you can't spend more than 20 per turn.
Okay.
I see.
And then this is the only one that resets at the end of every turn. So whatever you don't spend, you do lose.
Oh, so you use it or lose it. It's just like a regular deck builder kind of thing.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
But then you can see with this build system, it says choose one. So that means you can choose one of these benefits.
Okay.
You can either just play a card as soon as you get it from the city before adding it to a deck. So that means you could have played this guy, but that costs energy.
Okay, I see.
Or you could just get energy back. So let's go ahead and choose that one because the other one doesn't work. So you get 2 more energy.
Okay.
And let's say you go ahead and choose the ejection seat to remove a card. And you can play cards in any order. So let's go ahead and get rid of that Build-A-Bot.
And it's trashed out of the game. Okay.
Yep, just remove from the game.
Okay.
And so, because energy you have to build up, you want to save some because you still have more turns.
Okay.
And you're just sitting on one. So let's say you end your turn, discard everything you had, whether you played or not, and then you'll draw your next hand. And what makes this game unique is you choose if you want to reshuffle. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Because the catch with this, if you want to leave a deck, everything has to be in your discard pile.
Oh,
So that means the next turn you're going to play, if you want to leave, you're only going to have these 3 cards. Because if you reshuffle, you would see that you're like, well, I got another turn I'm still going to have to play.
Okay.
So yeah, let's say LA went and it comes back to you. Now you get to play this hand and you just have 1 energy to play these guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, so you could spend it and there's always multi-tools available. These are kind of those low-cost cards that just fill a gap for you if you can't find the right thing.
Right.
And let's throw it into combat. So now to kind of show you where the game can evolve is there's a couple different features that make this game stand out outside of it just simply being 3 decks.
Okay.
So if you went back into support and shuffled it and went to play your hand, and perfect. This had everything I wanted to see.
Okay.
So you can see the Shocktopus, because you're in support, you're now playing kind of the low section of cards. So you're immediately going to get 4, 5, 6 energy just off those cards alone.
Okay.
This symbol right here is your max energy. So right now you cap out at 10.
Okay.
Oh.
But if you look at this support system card, it's your choose one again. You can either increase your max by 2, as that's the only card in the game that'll increase this, so you can score more, or you can reveal the top card of a deck. Now, this is a main feature of Duality, or wrong game, Tectonic Shift. I teach Duality way too often. Is you can reveal the top card of any one of your decks. Now, whenever I returned build and picked up support, those every time you switch decks, they get shuffled.
Okay, I was wondering because if you purchased a card and put it into another deck, it's on top, so like that's coming. So I was about to ask.
Exactly it. So if you remembered, I threw a multi-tool on top of combat, and I have not gone to that deck yet. So I know if I reveal, there's that multi-tool, and I can go ahead and pay 1 energy to hit the other opponent for 2. And anytime you reveal a card, it then slides to the bottom, so you can't keep revealing it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So then it requires, can you remember the pattern of what was under what?
Oh, I'm screwed. Okay.
Yeah. So the idea there is you're like, oh, you know what? I know I just had a really good card that's like, it's my last one in my build deck. I'm going to go ahead and reveal it because it's my Shocktopus and get more energy.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can kind of do some process of elimination.
Okay.
So revealing happens a lot in the game, and there's additional cards that like reveal and move stuff around. One of the main things you'll come across in the game are movement cards. So I'm going to find a couple here.
Okay.
There's one more right here. So these have little symbols on the right side. You can see like with the Androister, there's a B and C there.
Okay.
That simply means when you play this card, it moves to the other deck.
Oh.
So if you're in build, it's going to do what you spend 1 energy, it'll give you 4 parts and do 2 damage. And if your opponent's not in their combat deck, they take 2 more.
Holy cow.
Then it's immediately going to move to your other deck. Just like you buying a card, it goes to the top of the other deck.
So you could potentially reveal it and play it again?
Exactly.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
You can abuse a lot of systems where you can
Yeah.
potentially play the same card 4 times just by simply where the card's moving around.
Wow.
Oh man.
Whereas you can see with the Lobster Launcher
Uh-huh.
is it does 1 for 5, but then it moves to support, where in support it just moves right back. So it's kind of a dud, but it does really high damage for a low cost.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
And if your idea is you're just moving back and forth between I'm going to combat to do damage, I'm going back to support to get my energy, this
Mhm.
card will just travel along with you.
Oh, okay.
Now to show you where, let's pretend you had the Sea Sweeper card in your hand. So you can see here, let's say you're at 5 energy. You can see this guy here gives you 3 and 1. So I'm going to get 3 parts and 1 energy, but then he moves to the other deck. So because you're in support, he moves to build.
Okay.
But, yep, I have my support system card here, and I can reveal the top. This is where you're like, I wonder what it'll be.
Yeah.
And great, I get to play it, so I get 3 parts and 1 energy. And you can see the bottom, if this is revealed, get 2 more energy.
Wow.
Yep, and then since you
Ah.
reveal it, then it's then slides to the bottom, so you can't keep doing it.
Oh, that's cool.
And even though I'm in support and I gained a whole bunch of energy, I have 6 parts. And I'd be like, great, let's go ahead and buy this tool belt and add to build. So you can abuse all these systems, and a lot of cards are unique.
Mm-hmm.
At most, you'll only find 2 of a card. So what you buy is really your playstyle and nobody else's.
That's awesome. And there it looks like there's roughly, it says 51 cards
60.
here. 60 cards total.
Yeah,
Okay.
60 total. So I'd probably say 45 of them are unique.
Wow. I have a feeling like you know all the good chains, like
Oh, there's so many things to abuse. And I never it's never a clean sweep. I win by a turn. It's
Oh, wow.
automatic.
That's good though. The fact that an experienced player can play this and a completely new player can play this and it's still close.
Yeah, I won't know what their plan is. It's just more so if they miss strong plays, but and then some of the other aspects of the game are upgrades. So
Okay.
you're familiar with bases and star realms.
Yes.
These work slightly different. Is you'll still add it to a proper deck, so this would go to support for your
Okay.
engine.
Okay.
When they show up on a future turn in your hand, you move them down to off to the side,
Okay.
and they're going to be faced, I guess,
Sideways?
yeah,
Okay.
to show they're disabled. And when you're ready on any turn, you can pay the energy cost to activate it.
Ah.
And then this is just a benefit you have, and it has no health, so it can't be attacked.
Interesting.
And the idea here is you can get as many of these you want. So you could have the arms, and let's find another. This propeller.
Okay.
So you can see some of these have a smaller cost here, but they cost energy to play it every turn.
I was going to ask, like, once you, I guess, quote unquote, tap or unexhaust an upgrade by paying the energy, is it permanently now right side up and you don't have to pay 5 more energy to activate it again? Okay.
Yep. So arms, you just pay 4 once, and then
Okay.
every turn you can pay 1 for 4
I
parts.
see. Okay.
And you don't even, if you want, you don't have to go back to build ever again. That if you're just looking at buying low end cards, arms will do it for you.
Okay. Cool.
And then you'll see you can get stuff like Tool Belt, where while it's in build, you can get an upgrade as the little tiny wrench plus symbol, which is right at the top here. Instead of paying whatever the cost is, you just pay 1.
Interesting.
So the build section makes them really cheap, whereas if you go into support, every upgrade you have, this will give you 2 energy. So if you but you have to decide, where do I want to move this? Is I just plan to buy them, or I don't want to spend money. Is this kind of up to the player of the path they choose?
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how long it took you to balance all of these multi-use abilities.
A lot of times it's just simply, I'll notice people never pick one versus the other. I'm like, yeah, let's buff that up.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, oh, okay, that was way stronger than I thought. People just weren't picking it. But you will come across some cards like the EMP and Tool and Balm here, where they give people disadvantages for focusing on upgrades.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you can see the EMP, if you're in combat, you can spend 1 energy to disable these, and people have to pay again to get them online.
Oh, I was wondering if there was a way to actually attack.
Counter, yep.
Okay.
So at most, all you'll ever do is just disable them.
Okay, so it's
Whereas
not like in Star Realms. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, but you're right, yep. Like in Star Realms, when they're destroyed, they go back into your deck, and you have to wait for them.
Right.
These ones, they just are disabled, but the bomb itself, you can see here, while it's in combat, it does 6 free damage, but every upgrade they have increases its damage by 1.
Oh, wow. So it actually makes the attack stronger the more upgrades
So if people have 6 of these, that is 12 free damage.
Dang.
But then it'll move to support, and because you have a bomb, while in your support you take 2 damage. And if you ever reveal this or try to mess with it and play it sooner, you take 4 damage.
Holy cow!
Wow.
Okay,
Because the bomb's so strong that
Right.
there is a limit. You have to take your time.
see that
Because
that's
you can imagine.
in my head. I was like, I'm getting 15 upgrades. This is how I like to play. Then I saw the bomb, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. Bomb is scary. EMP is also scary. If people have this, the EMP will keep these deactivated, and then the bomb, you're not even using them, and then the bomb's hurting you for having them anyway.
Oh, that's awful. That is awful.
So it's not per active upgrade, it's just per act.
Just, if you have upgrades, that's what you get.
Oh, man.
It sounds like you just have to buy those cards before your opponent does, so that you don't get wrecked by them.
If they bought these, I'd be like, have at them. I'm just never going to buy an upgrade.
Right.
Oh, man.
Are there duplicates
then,
of some of these cards? Or are they all unique?
If there is a 4 or 3 cost, there's 2 of them. Everything else is unique.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then the other card type are drones. These may seem a bit more familiar, as these actually do have health. Let me find another. There's not a lot of drones.
Okay.
Here's one, and here's one. The drones do have health, and they can be attacked. So let's say, for instance, I was doing 8 damage to you. I could put 5 of it here and destroy the drone, and then deal the remaining to you. I could just ignore the drones and just hit you. These do not protect you at all.
Right.
But drones basically are just amplifiers for mechanics.
I see. Okay.
So you can see if I built the surface drone, I pick what mode I want it to permanently be in. So I could pick support, and all of my upgrades are free to use, and you can't use yours.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So these drones, like Star Realms has a guard ability where some bases actually protect. They're like tanks, whereas these drones, they don't. But you can destroy them actively.
Yes, and if you had that active, I will 100% try to attack this.
Right, because they're expensive cards from the looks of it. They're really good.
And if this is destroyed, it just sits here broken. And to get it back online, you just simply rebuild it. So you pay 8, and it's right back.
Okay.
Yep. So that means you'll probably have to go back into build and fix it. And then once it's back online, it's right back in there.
Holy cow.
So drones, and it's kind of like the path you want to pick, that you can get more healing out of it, or you can just make all of your drones super tanky with lots of health with just that surface drone alone. And then just to explain how health works is as you take damage, you just move it accordingly. If you ever reach 0, you continue taking damage and you move to a lower hall. You actually have multiple halls in this game.
I see.
Cool.
So rather than have a tracker of what would be 75, it's just easier to do that.
Yep.
Okay.
And the catch is you can repair with I don't think a single card showed up with any repair symbols. It's just a green Healy thing.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find one real quick. Here's one. Some fungi.
Okay.
So you can see this one. It's just a simple 1 cost. If the opponent's not in their combat deck, you can play it. They take 2, you heal 1. So you can heal, you just can't heal back into your previous halls.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, is there like penalties or bonuses for going down a tier or anything like that?
There can be, there are cards that evolve as you move further down. So this one you might get a chuckle out of.
Oh my gosh, Haven Fish.
And it's even 8-bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even approve the card, but I made the bubbles around it the same quality as the other cards.
That is awesome.
But yeah, so this one, if you're in your later halls, you can play it twice.
So it becomes slightly more powerful for balancing purposes, I guess. Okay.
Cool. Now, do these drones, they don't stay on the side like these upgrades, right?
They just stay out here permanently.
Oh,
they do.
So any cards that you ever bring out, if they're drones or upgrades, they never leave this area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like in Star Realms where if a base or a hero or whatever gets destroyed, they would go back into the deck to be drawn again, typically. But in this game, it just gets disabled, and then they stay there, and you just rebuild them when you can.
You got it.
Okay.
Yep, and that's kind of the idea, is because all these are unique. Like, you have your own playstyle, and there's a lot of economy you can build up where you're like, hey, I gain 2 energy every time, and I'm always drawing 7 cards every turn. And you have a completely different playstyle than the other, where the other player's just like, well, I'm hitting you for 30 damage, so you're dead. So there's kind of a path that some people just like building out this full, like, massively upgraded submarine where they can move cards around to every deck, that you can build out 1 deck in this game.
Wow.
Because one of these just allows you to move any card you want into whatever deck you want.
Wow. Okay. That's
but
cool.
you're then playing a deck builder instead of a multi.
Right, exactly, at that point. Right.
One really interesting aspect that most people don't notice till they're playing it is, if you think of deck builders, there's so many of them, is you get a mixed hand. Is you're like, oh, I only have so much money, so I can only buy this thing. In this game, if you go to build, all you're going to draw is just cards that give you money to buy what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
If you're going into combat, you're just going to hit them for all the damage cards you've built in the game. You're never like, yeah, it never feels like you are just inching along unless you just have not focused on that deck.
That was one of the things I didn't like about Dominion, where in order to actually score points, you had to buy province cards that were only victory points. So if you kept
slow you down.
Right, exactly. So you'd be drawing maybe 2 gold cards and the rest were provinces because you're trying to end the game, and you can't do anything on your turn. So I'm that's cool that's here. I like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that a lot of times, like, you may be in build, she's in combat, and there are cards that, much like you saw, like the fungi, if the opponent's not in combat, you're going to be able to play it.
Okay.
Or the Androister, it deals extra damage. So you may see them go to combat, you're like, oh, I got to get over there as quick as I can. Otherwise, I'm just taking extra damage.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, like, based on where your opponent's going, you'll see them go to support. You're like, okay, I have a couple turns where I'm not going to get hit. I can go ahead and buy some stuff.
Interesting. Okay. And just to go back to what you said earlier, like if you only have 3 cards left in a deck and you draw them, you said you can or you can't like decide to put everything back and choose a new deck.
Oh, you can. So you always have to play till everything's in your discard pile.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
That was my question. Okay.
So the one benefit is you want to try to have 5, 10, or 15 in your deck. Because with 5, you just play your 5 and then you switch out decks.
Right.
But it's difficult whenever you have so many cards that move between decks, like the Sea Sweeper.
Uh-huh.
Because you may have 5, and then you're like, oh, if I play him, he'll move, and he's going to make my deck 6, and then I'm forced to stay in it longer.
Yeah, because you've got 1 card to play for your next turn or whatever.
Exactly. And you can't always reshuffle, so you have 5, but then that means you're like, well, now I got even another turn.
Right. Wow. Okay,
And you start to panic when you're in combat, and you're like, I have 3 more turns, and I'm at 0 energy.
The
other person's like, great.
Yeah, the juggling of these 3 decks, I guess that's just part of the strategy, like trying to figure out where to put things and how many cards to put there. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like every game I always make it very easy that when you're introduced to it, like you saw here, it's just batteries. They're just giving you 1 energy. Right. And then you're going to buy a card, and it's going to slightly improve that deck. And then as you're further along, you have a completely different deck than the other player, and you're doing all these effects they can't do, and vice versa.
Cool. All right.
Here's the question.
Sure.
So this one says cannot gain more than 8 energy. Is that 8 energy at one time, or is that 8 energy max?
That's just for this card itself. It'll cap out at 8 for you.
Right.
So if you had 5 of these, yep, it'll only give you 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can still certainly like have this eventually remove this thing and gain 20.
Okay.
But with that card, you'd have a max of 8.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
That's cool.
I can't get over this radioactive. It is so cute.
Yeah, you guys might recognize some stuff in the box of junk here too.
Is that a Furby?
It is a Furby.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I looked at popular things happening in 1996, and I was like, oh, the Furby existed.
Right. All you need are some
That
Beanie
is
Babies and you're all
adorable.
set.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just lots of just dumb stuff. There's vending machine, and there's a bag of shifties.
That is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is cool. How long did it take you to develop this one?
A year. It didn't take that long, actually, because it was just, I was playing Star Realms, and I was playing with my wife, and I was like, it's kind of boring that, like, once you play this so many times, it's just, you pick a color, and then you're just trapped in that color.
Right.
You can go 2, but if you go 3 colors, it's just frustrating.
It is.
Yeah.
And I was like, and people are like, oh, well, if you get the expansions and stuff, it really improves it and opens up more options. I was like, that's kind of sad, though, that the base game, that's the whole game, though.
Right.
And to enjoy it, you have to keep buying more things. And
well, that's what I mean. $100 later. Oh, yeah, now I have somewhat of a different... Yeah. So...
Yeah, that was just kind of messing around, and I was like, oh, you know, what'd be neat is like maybe instead of like different colors, you have different decks, and cards can kind of move around between them.
That is awesome.
And then it was just literally like within a month's time of like thinking of ideas of how it would work, I introduced kind of like a energy deck.
That is cool.
And yeah, that was just one thing after another. Is just kind of building this game out to where it became. And I think it only took 6 months to get it into like a good final state.
That's impressive,
Wow.
especially with all the cards. Since cards are multi-use, that's really impressive considering. I mean, I don't know if your wife helps you with the development part or it's all you, but I mean, that's still very impressive with, balancing
it's just a lot of friends just helping playtest and give feedback.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, there's Worka.
That's awesome.
I kid you not. That thing was called Killer Whale for the longest time, and then somebody said it should be Worka. I was like, oh god, why is it not Worka?
That is cool.
So cute.
So what's the current, just to recap from before in case I don't include the intro part, what's the current status of Tectonic Shift, and like when are you looking to mass market it, or how much is the RSVP, or not RSVP, the MSRP, all that good stuff. Yeah.
So we're in like the very, very final stages. Is originally whenever I was looking at Game Crafter, it was going to cost like $45. So I had to start cutting out things. So I just simply removed a lot of duplicates and balanced some things out as I've been going, because with the removal of so many cards, that means upgrades are going to show up more often.
Right.
And then that meant bombs are going to be stronger, and slowly like this thing's better, that thing's worse. So it's just slowly cleaning things up. But now I got it down to about $30 through the site.
Okay, that's cool.
So it's a much better figure. It feels more in line with like, I'd pay that.
Yeah.
So all I have left to do is just, make sure things are in a good state. And because it's through Game Crafter, I can always update it if needed. But yeah, it's literally just doing the box art. And then because we're able to cut down costs and it's in a smaller box, this one's going to be a QR code on the back and just simply load in a rule book. But the rule book, because I can have endless pages, it's going to be more detailed and expansive with...
Right. You can have an appendix, or you can have a rules reference kind of thing.
Exactly it. An appendix of just listing, here's every card that's in the game, here's the quantity of them.
That is cool.
So on and so forth, yeah. And then
one thing I
love...
love...
Buy 2 copies,
Yep.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, then if you buy 2 copies, you'll be able to do...
the multiplayer, like the
2v2. 3-player, 4-player, 2v2.
Gotcha. One thing I love on the back of any rulebook is a turn overview guide as to what you can do on your turn and all the little nitty-gritty details. So if you throw that in, awesome. Or if you haven't already. That'd
be easy to add onto the back of the box.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I find that super helpful because I get about 10 to 15 games a month from various developers, and having that, reference right there to remind me as to what I can do is super, super helpful. So that is cool. Okay. And so people can't buy it now, but you're still finalizing things and they will be able to buy it soon, or? Yeah,
we're hoping within the next month I can get our prototypes in.
Okay.
And if they look good, then we'll just kind of be like, hey, the game's ready to be purchased. So as long as things go smoothly, I'm hoping by end of year.
Okay. That is cool. I look forward to playing this.
Awesome.
I mean,
same as this is on the workshop too, so if people want to play it, it's out there.
They can demo it. That's really cool. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've actually, now that Tabletop Simulator exists, I've demoed a number of games. Star Wars Outer Rim, for example. I wasn't sure I'd like it, but then I played it on Tabletop Simulator, and then I actually bought a copy. So, like,
nice.
I'm glad that you've got a copy out here to test. Like, that's really cool. Okay. Well, color me interested. As you said to me, you said I'd be interested in this. You are absolutely right.
Because I was like, so many deck builders, like outside of like Clank has this one new mechanic, or this game introduces this thing, but it's still just a deck builder through and through. That
it is.
You buy cards, you shuffle your deck, and I was like, how many rolls can I break of a deck builder? So I was like, what happens if there's 3? What happens if you like have memory functions where you have to remember where cards are because they move around, and and it just slowly evolved into its own like beast.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I like where it's at now.
Is there any way to carry parts over from round to round? Like, is there a special card that lets you?
Yep.
There is. Okay.
There's a special card. There is a probably find it really quick. Storage.
Ah, cool. All right, so it's just an upgrade. Interesting. I'm also afraid to ask what this nuke does.
Oh, yeah. So each player has a one-time use nuke. If you don't like the cards out there, you can remove up to 3 of them.
Okay.
So it's more so you're just like, oh, I can't afford anything. Let's go ahead and get rid of these because I don't want you to buy them anyways.
Okay.
So it is an easy way that if you do not want them to have an EMP, you can just get rid of it.
That's only on your turn, though, right?
Only on your turn, yep. Gotcha. So if they buy stuff and something shows up in between,
you're screwed. Yeah.
Yep, that's just the RNG of a deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are cards in here that also allow you to kind of do like more of a softer nuke where you can slowly remove cards.
Okay.
There's not turtle. Yeah, fossil fuel. I googled it and I saw all you do is put a garden hose into some fossils, and that's how you get the fuel out of it.
Well, yeah, that's obviously. I mean, that's how. That's just like real life.
Where was it? See if it'll show up. Yeah, there's another drone. Oh, this one actually, if you look at the art on the little Game Boy, it's one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Havenfall cards.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, I
that's
already have
right.
8-bit art.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice
Yeah, I
that.
just
That's
moved it
actually
over.
awesome.
Yeah, most people are never going to catch it, but I just thought it was funny.
You heard it here, folks. Yeah.
You know what I absolutely love? I love that these parts in the submarine are highlighted, like the storage part, the arms part. I don't know if that's significant. I just think that's such a cool little
Yeah, it
touch.
was. I just had to look at blueprints of submarines.
You
And I'm like,
Googled submarine and you're like,
What a
and I was
great
like,
little touch.
where does an engine? And I didn't realize the engine's in like the very, very back. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. Where's storage? I was like, it's also right in the back. I was like, there's nothing in the front. So then like arms is obviously made up. So I was like, well, let's move that up there.
Uh-huh.
That is such a cute little detail. I think I appreciate that so much in art.
Yeah, there's the Fanta Ray. That was an easy one.
A fan on top of it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Wasn't
Oh my
Fanta
gosh.
a soda drink from like
It
the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Fanta.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be cute. I was like, what else can like is similar to a nuke that'll remove cars? I was like, oh, let's put a fan on a manta ray. It'll
Yeah.
just blow away the stuff that you don't want.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
This is good. Okay.
Yeah, that's more than I really need to explain about the game.
Well, no, I think you covered everything. 99% of it, I think you got. So.
Yeah, if you wanted, I could load up Duality if you wanted to go over that, or if you want to save it for another day.
No, absolutely. If you've got time, might as
Sure.
well. Well, I'm here.